Close your eyes and count down from 10 Mississippi. I'm going to go and hide. But don't worry, this is a normal game of hide and seek. Not like what they played in this week's discussion movie, Ready or Not. I have really loved going through the back catalog of movies that I saw back in the summer and in the early fall. A lot of those movies are coming to streaming now, so you'll have your opportunity to check them out. Maybe it's a little easier decision than whether or not you're going to spend money to actually go see something in the theater. It's much more easier to consume at home, where you can pause it if you want, or stop it and leave and come back. But I still think it's important that you have so many choices that you maybe get an opinion. Should I waste my time? Should I spend my time to see this movie or not? Ready or Not is one of those movies. It'll be coming into streaming in November, so we're right on time. In fact, you may be able to find it on Netflix or Amazon right now if you go and check out. Let's get through the pleasantries first. The movie was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, written by Guy Buswick and Ryan Murphy. The main actress in this movie is, of course, Samara Weaving, and if that name is familiar, well, you might recognize her by face as well. All the time I was sitting through it, I was like, you know what? I know that girl. I know her. Where do I know her from? Well, I haven't seen her in anything. What I have seen is her uncle, Hugo Weaving. Now, before you get started thinking that's how she found her way into the industry, she actually comes from the same Australian actor-actress farm that produced The Hemsworth. And not only does she have the connections through her family, but she's also got the acting chops. We saw that really strongly in Ready or Not. She's put into a lot of different situations, having to express a lot of different emotions and do a lot of difficult things, and I think that she really was up to the challenge. I really enjoyed seeing her in this part. It can be so important that you are along with the character as they're discovering things and you're discovering it with them, and sometimes that's the connection that's lost, but Samara Weaving did such a good job of doing that, that she just took us along for the ride, and it really made my enjoyment of the movie much better. Of course, she's joined by Adrian Brody, Mark O'Brien, Andy McDowell, and a cavalcade of, I know her, I know him from that thing. I don't want to call them B-roll actors, because it's not B-roll actors anymore. They're kind of character actors. It's people you know in very similar roles to what you're going to see them in this. It's so weird for me to say I know so many of those characters, and many of the actors, and I don't know who they are. I can't even place where I know them from. I just know them in this part. And it's one of the great and tragic things I think about this movie is that these guys just don't get the credit they deserve. They do a fantastic job. And yet, here I am, I can't produce any of their names other than the top build. So talking a little bit about the movie, I don't think it's a spoiler to say this movie is about a game of hide and seek. That was basically spoiled in most of the trailers if you saw any of them at all. And if you haven't, why are you even watching this at this point? You know what I mean? But Samara Weaving is about to get married. She's marrying into this family that is very wealthy. They got wealthy with a board game empire. Well, it started with a board game empire, and then it moved on to other things, of course, but that's where their money comes from. And they have a tradition that when anyone joins the family, they have to get together on the wedding night and play a game. Now, I really thought that maybe this hide or seek game was the determiner. Like, are you tough enough to join our family? You have to survive. But it turns out that's not really the case. Sometimes you pull just a generic card. It's let's play gin rummy, and you have to win a hand of gin rummy, and maybe you play all night before you win a hand, but when you finally win one, hey, welcome to the family. But once in a while, someone pulls the hide and seek card, and the hide and seek card is the bad card. It's fate interceding and saying, you're not good enough for this family, so we're going to get you out of this family. And of course, Samara Weaving pulls that card. I keep calling her by her real name. I should really call her by her character name, which is Grace. Grace pulls the card, and now we are off to the races. And the one thing I love about movies like this is that you're really discovering a lot of that stuff as she's discovering it. Like I said before, that can be such a linchpin to whether or not I enjoy it, is how well did the actor or actress bring me along with them on that trip. And I think she really does an excellent job at this, just bringing me along with her as we're discovering and learning and growing kind of together and figuring out who we are in this storyline. And she certainly starts off as one thing and ends up another. But I always also love these movies where they take place in one location over a few hours because so much intensity is kind of packed into that, where like you have to make it till midnight, or you have to make it till morning from midnight. So you know that there's this ticking clock, and you know it's all like a little cliche, but I think it still makes me enjoy the movie more. Now you don't need those things; it makes it more complicated. But if I just want to go in a theater and turn my brain off, which is what Ready or Not is, it's a little more than an hour and a half. It's a little more than an hour and a half, and I just want to escape. And you need that. You need that intensity of the ticking clock and going forward. So of course we're with Grace as she tries to survive the night. Most of it takes place right in the house there, and like I said, if you're looking for an Oscar contender, this is not it. If you want to have a good time watching a movie, if you just want to just escape for a little bit, and maybe put yourself in that position, what would you do if, in order to marry someone, to get into someone's family, you had to run the risk of playing this game? How would you feel about them if they didn't tell you about it ahead of time, because they're not supposed to? I think one of the complicated and, probably not one of my favorite parts of this movie is the relationship between Grace and her fiance / husband, who's played by Mark O'Brien, where I can't really place him. I don't know what side he's on. Like, he's very torn, obviously, because he wants to support his family, but he also wants to be with his wife, and it's like family, wife, and I just felt like a lot of that was forced. So I think they could have done without it. But, I think it does lead to Grace's kind of growth. And so I guess for that, it's worthwhile. It's a complicated thing where, somebody is a good actor. I can tell Mark O'Brien's a good actor, and he does a really good job with the character, but just something's missing in that, where it just seems to vacillate too wildly and for not really a clear reason. And I really would like to avoid those kind of things in the movies. But, of course, that leads us to the question, should you spend an hour and a half watching Ready or Not? If you're like Corey and you're pretentious and you don't like simple movies with simple concepts that just let you turn your brain off, this movie is not for you. If you don't like violence, this movie is not for you. There is a lot of graphic violence in it. Every kind of weapon you can think of, guns, knives, arrows, some medieval lances and stuff, everything is involved. And, if you got problems with your family, like maybe not so much trust, this might not be the movie for you either, because a lot of those kind of issues get churned up as they move through the movie. So if that doesn't apply to you though, if you just enjoy movies and you want to have that little adventure, especially around this time of year where Halloween just kind of passed and we're still trying to, some of us like myself who enjoy the season just want to keep things a little spooky for a while, this is the perfect movie to like turn off all the lights and snuggle down on the couch and just think maybe you heard someone sneaking around the corner or someone in the other room, and maybe they're coming after you. So Ready or Not gets a thumbs up from me. It's good. I would say good, clean fun. There's nothing really clean about it. It's not particularly bad, just very violent and very bloody. And, gratuitous violence, but fun gratuitous violence, if there is such a thing. So if you're into that, you're definitely going to love this movie. Go out and see it. It'll be available on streaming here in November. Well, that's it. Another episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. Right off the top here, I want to thank my patrons. Without all of you, none of this would be possible. Your monetary support helps me get cameras and mics and website up, and my time and staying up late and recording these videos, I do that all for you. Not to mention the messages and seeing you watch the videos early. You're really inspiring to me, and I truly do this for you. You are the reason, so thank you for that. And if you're not a patron, why not consider becoming a patron? Go on over to patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, where you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. Support me monetarily. Just show me that you're backing me. And help me out just a little bit with all the expenses that can come with doing all these kind of projects. I got a lot of exciting stuff coming, and of course the patrons get access to things early, like these podcasts, like these shows. They get access to exclusive stuff that no one else will ever see, like the video of me crying. Some of my friends haven't even seen me crying, for Christ's sake. They get an acknowledgement in the book. They get early access to the book, free copies. There's a lot of perks to being a supporter on Patreon. So come on over to patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek and sign up to be a supporter. Of course, you can also find me everywhere for free on social media at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. That's going to be Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Snapchat, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. Everywhere except YouTube. If you're watching a YouTube video, that's at youtube.com/Rob Cheek. Trying to get that changed, but I got to get the subscriber count up. Speaking of which, why not subscribe to my channel? Go over to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment on it, let me know how much you liked it or not. And it really helps me get my stats up, and maybe it'll help me get access to some new fun things on the YouTube channel. This show is also, of course, available at anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews as a podcast. If you prefer to listen over watching, you can check it out on there. Anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. And while you're there, put another / add message. You can send me a voicemail. I listen to all of them, and with your permission, I'll even add it into the podcast version of the show so people can hear what your comments and thoughts and questions are. No matter where you are, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're liking, let everybody know, share it wildly, share it with anybody you know who also likes movies. Tell them to stop watching those pretentious shows and start watching this one. I'm going to try to keep up the pace of doing 2 episodes per week, so you can expect new episodes on Thursday and then sometime in between. I'm going to keep going back in the old catalog as things start coming out on streaming, so you get to experience some of those old movies, and of course we go to the movies pretty often, so you'll be able to see all of those new reviews as well. Don't miss out on anything. Hit the bell, subscribe, and make sure you're checking out all the new videos. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast as well. You can't miss out on anything. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope everybody comes back and joins me for the next episode. New episodes Thursday, as you know very well. But until then, take care, and please have a great week, everybody.